Hello, and welcome to another video tutorial from Oklahoma City University's Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning. In this video, faculty will be provided an overview of the D2L Gradebook. They will also learn how to adjust the gradebook settings. Faculty will learn the difference between weighted grading system and the points grading system. And finally, faculty will be given an overview of the gradebook calculation options. Here you can see I have this course open in my web browser within D2L. The first thing I want to do is navigate to the Grades menu item in the course nav bar. I'm going to click on it to open up the gradebook. Here we can see that clicking the gradebook link in my nav bar by default opens the Enter Grades screen. And I can see that the Enter Grades tab has been selected and it's highlighted in blue. On this screen, there's some settings that I can look at. I can import the gradebook, I can export the gradebook, I can switch to a spreadsheet view, and then under more actions, I can look at an event log, or I can hide and show the different columns. I can also send an email to the students in question. So for example, I select this student and then click the email button, and I can compose a message straight in D2L to that student. I can organize my gradebook either by last name or by first name. I can come in and look at the individual assignments themselves, the columns right here. And for example, I can look at the properties for that assignment. I can edit the assignment. I can enter grades and view the statistics and view the event log for that item itself. You will notice that I have a final grades, final calculated grade showing here at the beginning. And then if I scroll all the way to the right, bypassing all my assignments in this gradebook, you'll see that I also have a final grades column over here as well. The second tab across the top is the Manage Grades tab. The Manage Grades tab is just a listing of all the individual grade items. It will give you the assignment title for that grade item, what type it is, for example, numeric, if it's been associated with a category, and how many points it has set as its maximum point value. I can create a new grade item here, or I can create a new category. I will show you this in a separate video. There's the More Actions tab, which gives you some additional options, including to delete a grade item. Again, this will be shown in a later video. I can also bulk edit and select all of the grade items and bulk edit the items themselves. And here you can see some of my bulk edit options. I can edit the names all in one screen. I can edit all the point values on one screen. I can edit whether or not they are available for bonus points or if they can exceed the maximum point value, what grading scheme has been assigned to that gradebook item, and have that gradebook item been assigned to a category. I could see it here. I'm going to hit cancel. The next tab that we see here, we're not really going to go over in this video, but it is the Schemes tab. And basically, these are various schemes that are available at the organizational level for your gradebook. By default, we use the percentage scheme. There are some others in here available if you would like to use those. You also have the ability to create your own scheme. And then finally, there is the Setup Wizard tab, which I will show again in a later video step here. The first thing I would like to show you on adjusting the gradebook is to look at the settings button right here for the gradebook. So I'm going to click on the settings gear icon, and I will see three tabs: personal display options, org unit display options, and calculation options. Within the personal display options, I'm going to see user details, which includes the username or the org-defined ID. For us here at OCU, this would be their B number. And basically, these options, if I were to select them, it's going to turn that on so I can see it next to the student name in the gradebook. So to show you what that looks like, let's say, for example, I'm going to turn on the username, which is the email address. I'm going to select that checkbox, and then I'm going to hit Save. Then I'm going to open up the gradebook in another tab, and you will see that now, not only do I see the last name and first name of my student, but I also see their email address or their org unit username, I should say. If I wanted to turn on their B number, I would check this box next to org defined ID and then click the blue Save button. Then I have the grade details. The first checkbox is to display the actual points themselves. Then we have the grade scheme symbol. The grade scheme symbol by default, again, is the percentage. And this could be, for example, an A, B, C, D, so on and so forth. And you can see a description by clicking the little help icon, and it shows you that this setting determines whether or not the grade scheme symbol associated with that grade item is displayed in the user list. So again, for example, if it was a 96, that could be an A. So that 96 percentage would show an A symbol next to it. And then finally, we also see the grade scheme color. This gives you the ability to display grades and associate them with colors. So for example, if I go back to my grade book and let's say, for example, here in my week 1 assignment, if I had an A, this grade color, this whole background would change to green. And then let's say I had a B. I could set the grade scheme color to show, I don't know, blue. A C could show an orange background. An F could be a red background. That's just another visual aid to show your students how they're doing and how they're performing visually. Then we have number of characters to display for each item. So again, this is the title of the grade item itself across the top of the category. So this right here. How many characters do we want to display? Maximum of 30. The number of columns before the user detail starts to repeat. So we say we want 10 columns. The number of users in the gradebook we want to display before the column headers start to repeat. Then we have the ability to repeat final grades. We see here that repeat the calculated final grade at the start of the user list. It has been checked. If I go back to my gradebook, you can see that this is the calculated final grade here at the beginning of the gradebook. And then if I go all the way to the end of the gradebook on the far right side, we see it over here as well. I can also select repeat adjusted final grade at the beginning of the gradebook as well, and then click Save. If I refresh my gradebook now, I will see the adjusted final grade as well as the final calculated grade, both at the beginning and at the end of my gradebook. There, right here. Finally, we have the Start Page option. By default, when you click on grades in the course navbar, it's going to load the Enter Grade screen. This could be problematic if you were to open this in the classroom in front of all of your students. You could accidentally display the grades for all of your students on the screen, and everybody who happens to be looking at that screen will see all of the grades. And this could be a FERPA violation. So we recommend changing the default start page from Enter Grades to Manage Grades, and then click Save. Then the next tab across the top is the org unit display options. This is basically going to show us a couple of settings for both you as the instructor and some student display options. The managing view, that's for you as the instructor. How many decimal points do we want to display in the gradebook? So I have it set to 2. Within the student view, how do we want the gradebook to display to our students? Do we want the students to be able to see the points? If so, we have that box checked. Do we want them to see the grade scheme symbol? So again, by default, in the percentage scheme, this would be the letter A, letter B, letter C, so on and so forth, associated with those percentages. And then do we want them to see a grade scheme color or not? How many decimals do we want the student to see? How many characters do we want them to see for the assignment title itself? And then do we want to display the final grade and how it was calculated to the students themselves? We could show that here as well. Finally, we have the Calculation Options tab. And here it's important to maybe take some time and to explain the different grading system types available to us in D2L. Within D2L, we have 2 grading system types. The first is the weighted grading system. You can see that under the weighted system, grade categories are assigned a weight as a percentage of the overall final grade. And these grade items are assigned a weight as a percentage of their parent category, or of the final grade if they don't have a parent category. So for example, let's say we had an assignment category, and this assignments category was set to 20% of the overall final grade. Then within that category, I have 2 assignments. Assignment number 1 set to 50% of this 20%, and assignment number 2 set to 50% of the overall 20% of this category. The different items within the category must total 100%. However, the 100% is 100% of 20%, whatever the percentage is for that category. You can see we have another category here, final exam, right? And this is set to 80% of the overall final grade. So this category is 20%. This category is 80. The 2 categories together tally to 100% as well. Some benefits of using the weighted system is that it's basically easier to swap assignments in and out. If you have the assignment category set to 20%, it's really not that big of a deal for you to add another assignment into that category. The system knows that no matter what you place in there, it's going to be a portion of the percentage you assign to the category itself. The other system type that we have are points. And in a points system, each graded item is assigned a point value, any value. It's not even necessary to use round numbers or even numbers. You can use decimal points in here as well. And basically to calculate the individual final grade, whereas up here, the categories would have to tally up to 100% altogether. Here, to calculate individual student final grades, we would just add up the total points earned for each item and then divide it by the total number of maximum points assigned to each item itself, and then you multiply by 100 to get the percentage. So let's say, for example, that here we see that our assignments category has 40% and our final exam category has, I said percents, I'm sorry, that should be points, 40 points. Our final exam category has 200 points. So together, there's a total possible of 240 points. Within our assignment category, assignment number 1 is worth 20 points and assignment number 2 is worth 20 points. Obviously, together, they tally up to 40. The benefits of using the point system is that it's easy for students when they're looking at their overall course grade in the gradebook. It's also easy for instructors to build out their gradebook. But there are some drawbacks to this. The most important being that it may impede on your flexibility if you are an instructor who likes to add graded items as you progress through the course. For example, let's say that you needed to enter some additional homework assignments in the term in order to get more practice with some of the content, and you wanted to add 5 more homework assignments. Depending on the value that you assign to each one of those, adding the extra homework assignments may significantly increase the influence of those homework scores and decrease for example, the exam scores on the overall final grade itself. So basically, in other words, the portions of the graded assignments in calculating the final grade may no longer reflect the most important aspects of the course. The benefits of a weighted system are that it's helpful for the students as they monitor their performance through scores calculated with each assignment category throughout the course. And it gives you more flexibility as an instructor to add or remove graded items as needed without really affecting the overall point structure for the course. However, the drawbacks of using the weighted grade system might be that students may have trouble identifying which grade item is more important than another if they're used to seeing points versus, for example, a weighted percentage. With a little bit of coaching, students may be able to begin to understand how that works. But weighted grades are also sometimes seen as complicated for instructors. However, again, with some planning and some thoughtful construction, you can build an effective weighted grade book as well. Finally, the last thing I would like to show you within this calculation options tab is here we can select. Do we want a weighted system or a point system? You also have the ability to come in here and select a formula, and you can go in and create your own custom formula if you would like to within the wizard itself once you're walking through the wizard. Under the final grade released section, we can release the calculated final grade. And if we click our little help symbol there, it says that the value in the calculated grade field is released to the user as their final grade. So it's just calculating the final grade and displaying it throughout the course as they complete assignments and you grade those assignments. You can also show the adjusted final calculated grade. Adjusted final grade. And this is the value of the adjusted final grade, and it's showing to the students in the gradebook itself. So do you want the calculated final grade or the actual adjusted final grade? Then we have the option to automatically release the final grade. So this basically is going to consistently show the final grade to the student. I like to keep that checked. Under grade calculations, we have ungraded items. And here we can say, drop the ungraded items from the calculation itself. And basically this means if you have not graded an item, or let's say the item in question does not get a grade, it will be dropped and excluded from the calculation of the final grade. Then you have the option to treat ungraded items as a 0. So if you have an ungraded item and the student did not submit something, you don't necessarily have to type in a grade as a 0. The system would automatically say, hey, there's no grade assigned here. We need to treat it as a 0. So do I drop the ungraded items, or do I give them a 0 for something that's not graded? And then Auto update, basically, do you automatically want to keep adjust the updating the final grades in the gradebook for your students to view? And that is it. Hopefully this has been helpful. If you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to the Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning.